Welcome to YA at Heart. We would like to say it's probably the day after Mother's Day, so happy belated Mother's Day.
Yes, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mommies and the grandmommies.
Who like to read.
And, everybody else that has babies, little babies.
Whether they fur babies or real babies.
Exactly. But yes, I hope you guys had an amazing Mother's Day and got to spend it with your loved ones and are ready now to dish about A Court of Wings.
Our Lady of the Night Court! Our Lady of the Night! Oh no, that's super high. I really apologize for that.
Finish the goddamn title?
Of the Night Court. I can't.
This won't even let me read the title.
I'm so excited. Our Lady of the Night Court.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna hold you. The beginning of this book, the first 13 chapters, I'm like, okay.
Yes. I think I told you, I texted you the first couple chapters I was reading while she was in the spring court. I texted you and I was like, okay, so we got sassy, feisty Feyre back. I was like, yes. When she said that line at the end of A Court of Mr. Fury where it was like, Tamlin did not realize he was leading the Lady of the Night Court into the heart of his territory or whatever. It was true because these couple chapters, I was like, this bitch is scheming.
Raw, literally like chapter 1 and chapter 2, and we'll get into it.
Before we get into it, do you want to talk about the
prologue or the prologue?
Yeah.
Sorry. So before we get into it, the goddamn prologue, it was from Rhys's point of view. And it said 2 years prior to the wall going up. So he was on the battlefield and he was pretty much like, we've been fighting for 3 days nonstop. And the field is full of bodies, full of like Illyrian soldiers and human soldiers, full of like hybrid soldiers. And the whole time, I found it very interesting. He was going through the dead Illyrian warriors to see if any of them were Cassian. And I was like, is this foreshadowing?
I really hope not, but I think he mentioned it before in a Court of Mist and Fury when he was like talking to Feyre. His father had separated him, Cass, and Az
on purpose.
And when they were in the war, every time, all three of them, every time names were called of the dead, they would like wait and listen to hear if they heard their brother's name. And like I think this is just the point of view of Rhys basically like also showing. Not only was he listening for their names, but when he was out on the battlefield, he was also looking for them.
But my thing is, like, it's interesting that you would put that as a prologue to this story.
Right.
And not just, casually bring it up when he's talking to Feyre or something like that. So that's why I'm like, okay, this has to be some type of, foreshadowing.
I really hope not, because I want to read Cass's love story with Nesta. I want to read the feistiness.
I'm calling it right now. So then we get into chapter 1 and 2, which kind of like blend together a little bit.
I feel like they did.
Yeah, I feel like they blended together. We're basically in Feyre's point of view. She's back at the spring court. She is trying so hard to hold in her temper and not slaughter everybody and play the part. Especially
Nate.
Yes!
She's been dying to get into a room.
You mean a snake?
With this bitch.
A snake. That's her goddamn name. Fuck that bitch.
She's been trying to get into a room with this chick, and this chick has like prolonged her entrance almost in a way.
Right. She tried to come in there and have a civil talk with Feyre, like, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I did it because you wanted to be closer to your sisters. Do you really believe that I'm gonna swallow that bullshit?
Gaslighting, though. Like, sitting there and telling me, oh, yes, I gave the information to Hybern, but it was your fault because you told me all this information and you seemed to be so down, and it sounded like to me that you wanted your sisters to be high-fed.
right then and there, like,
kidding?
Like, arrow through the heart.
Are you kidding? Oh my God.
I don't like her at all, and I see why other people don't like her either.
I will say, though, like, one of the things that I thought was really funny throughout all of these chapters, not just the first and second chapter, was we said at the end of A Court of Mist and Fury that Lucien was side-eyeing the shit out of Feyre because she was laying it on thick.
Yes!
He is still side-eyeing the shit out of Feyre.
Because Lucien, like, listen, Lucien knows what's up. Tamlin is fucking oblivious, and Nath isn't worried. And Nath isn't really worried about her because she's like, oh, it's just Feyre. It's meh. Like, she still thinks that she's the broken person that left. Like, no, girl. So the Hybern forces arrive in the Spring Court, and they pretty much have to welcome Germaine. And Germaine brings with him the niece and nephew of Big Daddy Kane.
Can we call them Cersei and Jaime from Lannister?
I was going to call them the incest twins.
Yes! The moment I got to this chapter and I'm reading about these twins, I was like, so this is Cersei and Jaime. And I immediately texted Morgan and I was like, yo, we got a Cersei Jaime type of relationship happening between characters. I was like, this is just
yes. Like Tamlin was like, oh, we prepared rooms for all of you, and they were like, we will room together. I was like, the
moment they said that, I was like, y'all are our brother and sister.
Grown ass. Ugh. No, thank you. No fucking thank you. Yeah, it was disgusting. I didn't like it. And later that night at dinner, of course, they're all... Jermaine's acting like an asshole because he's an asshole. But it was interesting because we find out that the twins are also... what did we call it? Dematai? Demati?
Yeah.
Dematai?
Yeah, I think we said Demontai.
Yeah, so they also have those capabilities where they can, like, get into people's minds. So Feyre is, like, trying to shield her mind and Tamlin's mind and even the stupid ass Nate's mind. And she, like, realizes as well while she's doing this that she's getting these really bad headaches. And that shouldn't be happening. But, yeah, when we get there, bitch. When we get there.
But, like, another thing... Germaine is poking at people. Germaine is poking at people. Like, now, all right, for instance, so he pokes at Lucien about the mating bond and the fact that Elaine and Nesta are with Rhys and the Inner Circle and the Night Court, right? And he's immediately like, Lucia's like, don't you think about her, blah, blah, whatever. And Jurian's like, well, I'm sure she's got fucked by half of the Illyrian. I'm like, excuse me. We're at dinner.
Feyre shut him down so quick. She's like, oh, all this talk from somebody who couldn't even keep his supposed love of his life. Let's not go there. If you really want to go there, we can go there.
Go there, right?
We can go there because...
It was the best type of shade.
Right. He was pissed, bro. He was pissed. I loved it.
It was good.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it that I had for, like, chapter 2, because, like we said, there wasn't a whole lot that happened.
They blended in together, and it was establishing that Feyre is a spy for the Night Court. She is. We thought the bond was broken by King Hybern, but it turns out it might have just been weakened. And so she's still actually talking to Rhys down the bond. And Rhys is talking to her. It's just not as strong as it used to be. So it might have just been weakened a little bit. The issue that Feyre is having is the moment, because everybody thinks the reason she smells like Rhys is because he, quote unquote, forced himself on her. Or he had been sexually assaulting her that entire time that she was at the Night Court. That's what everybody's thinking. That's what Tamlin wants to believe. But what Feyre does realize is she's like, what happens after I've been away for the Night Court for a couple of weeks and the smell isn't gone? Like, his scent on me isn't gone. And that's because of the mating bond. That's what she fears. And so she's only using it scarcely to, like, let him know what's happening, feed him information the best that she can, slowly but surely.
Right. And then, like, get the fuck out of there.
And that's basically what was established also between chapter 1 and chapter 2 is the bond wasn't broken the way we thought. It was just weakened and kind of hidden almost a little bit.
Yeah. So
she's still connected to Rhys. It's just not as strong as it was before.
Right. In chapter 3... Feyre, Lucien, and the Yin Yang twins go to the wall.
Ooh, can we call them the Yin Yang twins? I like that one. Yes.
They go to the wall because they're trying to inspect the hole in it to see where they should strike with the cauldron. And Lucien, he hid the evidence from when Feyre left. Was not kidnapped, left. That changes everything.
This is a revelation. When he says that, I'm like, okay. So essentially, even Feyre says it. Essentially, Tamlin didn't see the proof that she left of her own accord.
No.
What he saw led him to believe it was an abduction and not her leaving of her own free will.
Thank you. Because that's where the problem lies. You're so busy coddling this grown-ass man who knows exactly what he did wrong. So he's just like, oh, she would never leave me. She was taken. No, bitch. You fucked up.
She left.
She left because you were no longer safe to be around. You did not care about her feelings and what she was going through. So she left. I don't understand why everybody's trying to protect him from this truth. Like he did nothing wrong.
It's also brought up later on when Alice also, like, there's another chapter later on. Alice also mentions that she too did something that day that led them, made it seem as if
she was taken.
She wasn't, as if she didn't just walk out of her own free will, that she was taken, she was abducted. And like, even Feyre at this point, she says something that I was like, oh my God, this right here sums it up. When we get there, it's worth like repeating because like you just said, everybody's coddling this man, this high lord, making him believe he didn't do anything wrong. And of course she wouldn't have left. She loved him. Why would she leave? Type of thing.
I don't know.
And it's like,
because he's an asshole, because he doesn't know how to control his goddamn temper. Because
he's abusive. It's abusiveness for me because the fact that you can't control the anger also reflects, like, when you can't control the anger, your magic, like, bombshells out.
Yes.
And then you basically hit her. If it wasn't for her own powers, she would have been hit by your powers. That's abuse.
Yeah.
But in this chapter, after her and Lucien talk, so another thing is, this also made me kind of sit and be like, okay, I know I said fuck Lucien, and Nath can have him, but there was like little things that he was like saying and doing that I was like, I was like, okay.
I'm still on the fuck Lucien train, but not the Nath can have him.
No, I believe, Nath can't have him at this point. But what I'm saying is like, he admits that if he was alive during the war, then he would have fought on the same side as Rhys and the humans. And I was like, that right there, okay. Then he also, like you said, he also mentioned like, we went to get you. So it wasn't just all Tamlin, like Lucien also felt like he needed to go save his friend. Even though he saw that she left of her own free will.
Right. So I'm like, if you know that she left because she wanted to, then why are you trying to save her? Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. J. Cole.
Like, this is something that I will say. So what Feyre has been doing, and we take note of it in this chapter, is she's been slowly getting close to Lucien physically, almost. So like, not that they're having spicy time, no. But essentially what she's doing is every time Jurin is around, or a Nath, especially a Nath or Tamlin, then she like grabs Lucien by the arm, or, she like touches his knee, or it's some type of touching.
Because she's barely touching Tamlin at all, and he's like...
That man he's having a dry spell.
He about to explode.
Combust. He's about to combust.
He's gonna spontaneously combust everywhere.
Facts. Right. So essentially, she does this time when her and Lucien are talking, and Jurin takes notice of it. And he's like, oh, careful, Lucien. Like, you know what happens if somebody, touches the High Lord's pet and stuff like that. And I was just like, huh.
Where your girl at again?
Right. Wait.
You want to tell me where she went? Oh, right. She left you.
She left you?
Shots fired. We can go tit for tat up in this bitch.
We move on into the chapters. They make it back from the wall after they inspect it. This is also one of those times where Nath is present and Lucien is present, and Feyre takes it upon herself to like touch Lucien. And Nath is like sizzling with anger. Like, she's just so upset about it. Because if you guys remember, when we first introduced Nath, it's well known that she has a crush on Lucian.
Yeah, she's trying
or
to
some type
check
of
up
something.
on it, push up on it, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Lucian is like, I don't want any of that cookie. I don't want any of that, kitty. Everybody has had that kitty type of thing. It's not, no.
Everybody puts their mouth on this water fountain. I'm going to get my own water bottle.
Water fountain!
Also, I wrote down, I have a new name for an eighth.
What is it?
It's a Nath the Slithering Skank.
Ooh, I like that one.
You like that one?
I like that one.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I gotta work on my S's.
So, we also find out in this chapter right here, Tamlin didn't do the right. He made Lucien do it. So what happened was him and Feyre are talking, and Lucien admits that Tamlin wasn't in the right state of mind to do the Calanmai? Calanmai. And Nath wanted Tamlin to like push up in it, but he was like, yeah, no. Which that was my theory. I thought he was gonna do it. Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because you had mentioned, like, you were like, I guarantee you he's screwing around with the Nath, blah, blah, blah. It turns out Tamlin refuses to do it this time. And of course, Feyre is like counting back the days, and she's like, well, wait, how many days was this? And then she's like, oh shit, that was the same day that I was up in the cabin getting freaky nicky with freaky nicky with Reese.
Where they blessed the lands of the Night Court.
They blessed the lands of the Night Court. But then Lucien admits, he was like, Tamlin wasn't, he refused to do it, so I did it. And Nath was insistent that she be the fairy. So it wasn't like Lucien went around and he found a maiden. It was that, and Nath was like, no, I'm the maiden. Me, pick me. I volunteer as tribute. That's basically what she said. She's like, I volunteer as tribute. And like, unfortunately, Lucien was like, I had to do it. So he's like, so we went to the cave and I did my duty. Lucien is legit looking at it like he's disconnected himself from the deed.
He has. He's like, please don't tell Elaine. It meant nothing to me. Like,
it was his equivalent when he said, I'm a mated man now. It was his equivalent of saying, I'm a married man.
Yeah.
I'm a married man. Please don't tell my future wife that I did this.
Exactly. Like, he's embarrassed. And my thing is like, why didn't Tamlin...
He's embarrassed.
Why did Tamlin allow her to do that? That is your friend. Like, and that's a good thing that Feyre is doing too throughout all these chapters. She's planting these seeds to show people how not shit Tamlin is, how he will choose a Nath. He will choose a Nath over all of you anything that he has known for years, for centuries. Mm-hmm. He will choose her. He will choose Hybern. He will not stand up for you like I will. Yeah.
That was the whole point. That was her campaign. My
name is Feyre Cursebreaker, and I approve this message.
That was her campaign right there.
Oh, shit.
Her slogan.
Yeah, that was pretty much her slogan. But then that moves into chapter 4.
Summer solstice.
Oh, bitch. This is so funny because the Nath has dragged everybody out of bed. Like, we have to pray. We have to give thanks. Has this whole goddamn thing planned where she's going to lift her arms up and the sun will light in between her arms like she's this goddess. Feyre slick moved the stone path that she was supposed to be standing on, or like a marker.
Over.
Yeah. Like you were supposed to hit your mark. She moved the mark. So when the sun came up, it was shining on Feyre, not a Nath. That bitch was sick.
So this whole thing was planned out by Feyre. It was fucking hilarious. Now, what she also did was she planned this whole ceremony out with the Nath so that all this would play out really well. So she gets a Nath to get the Yin Yang twins up on the altar with her, then to get Tamlin up on the altar with her. So the only people who are left in the crowd are her and Lucien. So the moment that the sun comes up and hits Feyre unleashes her glowing ability. So she like lights up, right? Mm-hmm. They don't understand that this is a part of her powers. Tamlin and Lucien haven't figured that out yet. Nobody has figured that out yet. So they immediately look and they're like, oh shit. Lucien immediately drops to his knees and he is swearing fealty. He's swearing his whole whatever to her. And so is everybody else.
I was like, Lucien, are you in on this? Because he dropped straight down to his knees like, I vow to protect you.
Yes. And then everybody else starts whispering. They're like, Feyre, Cursebreaker, Feyre this, Feyre that.
And then Nath was just like, this was supposed to be my moment.
Facts.
Oh my God.
And the Yin Yang twins are sitting there just kind of like,
yeah, can we go now?
Can we go back to sleep?
Bruh, it was a whole fucking thing. That petty bitch got exactly what she deserved. But yeah, they spent that whole day celebrating the summer solstice, and Feyre was kind of like just remembering like how different things were a year ago. And she was just like, damn, a year ago on this day, I let Tamlin kiss me. A year ago on this day, I met my mate who actually saved me. Yes! And I was like, oh.
And talking about her mate, she goes down the bond again, and he answers back, and they have kind of like a little bit of conversation. And he asks her, he's like, when do you come home to me?
I know.
Like, when do you come home?
Ugly cry.
I was like, Feyre, go home. I was like, Feyre, you got enough information, go home.
I was, that had me in my feels. It definitely did.
Unfortunately, after that, she asked Tamlin to dance with her. And I was just like, do we really have to?
But she has to keep up, yes, she has to keep up the facade. Now, I will say in this chapter, I did feel bad only because Tamlin was lied to. I don't feel bad for Tamlin. I feel bad that he was lied to, because if he would have realized that she actually left of her own accord, he probably still would have been an asshole trying to get her back, but he wouldn't have like believed so heavily like, she belongs to me, she is mine, I know Rhysand took her and all this other shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't understand, again, why people are having him believe that nothing is his fault. Like, he's not at fault for anything that he's done.
No, and then like another thing, she brings up the right at Calanmai, and he's like, he immediately is like, I couldn't stomach it. But you could stomach making a deal with Hybern.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could stomach serving up Prythian on a platter after everything you've just been through for the last 50 years. What I died for, you could stomach that. Okay.
But you can't stomach adding another body to your body count. I sat there, I was like, no sympathy.
Yeah, no sympathy for him at all. I'm sorry. That moves into chapter 5. And Feyre leaves the festival early and has Lucien take her back to the manor. And she fakes like she's having a nightmare.
Okay, so this was explained, I think, a couple chapters. Well, this was explained probably first chapter, second chapter. So they had to move her room because her original room was shredded, which I personally felt like it was a symbolism to the fact being that, like, that life is dead.
Yeah.
You as that person,
you're
gone.
No more. You're
That's
no longer
done.
that person.
Yeah. So then they end up switching her room, and this time she's across the hall from Lucien. So if something were to happen, Lucien is like main point. He'll hear it, he'll see it, he'll be the first one there.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that was something that Tamlin had made a point to do, or
probably,
or if that was insistent upon by Lucien, that maybe he felt guilty enough that he wasn't a good friend, that he probably told Tamlin, hey, stick her near my room. That way I'm first person in case something happens.
You know what? I don't think it was either of those. I think it was Lucien being like, I know this bitch is going to try to leave and go see my mate, and I'm not going to be the fuck left. That's what I know for damn sure.
I'm not going to be out of this. We going together.
You're not going to leave me.
It always circles back. It always circles back to my mate. That's what it always circles back
Lucien
to my mate.
is like, I am on you like white on rice. Where you go, I go. When you move, I move, bitch.
Oh my God.
Oh God, he's the whole thing. So she does fake a nightmare, and then she goes over and knocks on his door, and she's like trying to have him, quote unquote, console her. But she times it perfectly. Because she knew Tamlin was gonna come to visit her in her room. One, she was like, I'm not having sex with him. That's a no. That's a no. Secondly, I want him to catch me hugging Lucien. And Lucien was shirtless.
Shirtless. Lucien was shirtless.
So she was like, I want him to catch me hugging Lucien and then be like, what the hell is going on between the sheets of my And he did. He had the claws out. He was like, what is this?
What the fuck did I just call upon?
And Feyre's like, oh, he was just consoling me. I had a bad dream. Good night. And shut the door in his face.
So this is Feyre. Feyre had done a lot of touching at the summer solstice party, and she had, or celebration, and the fact that she danced with Tamlin, the fact that she talked to him, the fact that she flirted with him, it basically, it gave Tamlin the quote unquote signals that she might have been ready to have spicy time afterwards. Now Feyre knew this, which is why she faked the nightmare, had Lucien come out shirtless. This immediately dampened any type of shit Tamlin thought he was gonna get. And he immediately directed his anger towards Lucien. And then Feyre was like, okay, I'm okay now, bye-bye.
Now
like,
that I did feel a little bad about like Lucien getting the burnt end of it. But I'm like,
yeah.
You need to go through some hell too, because you let a lot of shit slide by that could have been prevented. And then that moves into chapter 6, where the next morning they're so tense. Everybody's mad.
Tamlin's upset.
Everybody's mad.
upset. And Nath is pissed. Like,
and Feyre's just eating like.
She's like, I'm all right. I'm good.
Oh, and Nath comes in trying to cause a scene like, oh my lord, I think I should speak to you alone.
Oh, I love when Lucien just be like, bitch, talk straight.
Right.
What?
Like,
no.
Nobody's leaving the table. He's not coming to you. Like, whatever you can say here in front of all of us. And she starts talking about some type of, what was it? Was it the attack or the keys going missing? Oh, no, she was talking about the land being infertile. Like, the land
that's right.
Was
that was
decaying.
The first thing.
And I was like, well, yeah, bitch, because Lucien did not want to have sex with you, so he probably cursed the lands. I would not be surprised.
What if that's what it was?
I would not be surprised. Like,
oh my god.
No. But anywho, they're preparing to like go out or whatever. And Nath was saying something about giving Rhys the wings back of his mother and his sister. So Nath was like, oh, well, perhaps if you give Rhys-Anne the wings back, he'll buy them for a handsome price and some shit like that. Like trying to bait Feyre.
I would have fucking I
would have killed everybody in the room.
Facts. Pew, pew, everybody did. That would have been
gonna die tonight.
Exactly.
Right. I was like, she had a lot of strength in that moment because I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Not at all. But ultimately, Tamlin, I think this says a lot though, because Tamlin, in a very like low voice, he says he burned the wings. But he says it and looks down in a way of like almost being ashamed.
You should be ashamed. You should be very ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, I think he's ashamed that he had let that event happen. And I think he ultimately burned the wings because the wings were taken by his father as a prize. But I think for Tamlin, it was a reminder of, honestly, a betrayal that he did to a close friend. Honestly, I don't have any sympathy for Tamlin.
I don't.
But this definitely made it seem like he was ashamed of having the wings and he burned them. So.
Yeah, I don't have any sympathy for him either. I wanted to feel something for him in that moment. Like, okay, at least you have some remorse. But I'm just like, you keep doing stupid shit. So I don't have any feelings towards you whatsoever.
Now, Feyre she says that she's going with everybody.
Yeah, to find the second hole in the wall.
Yeah, for the ride. So she does say she's going. Tamlin is like, he knows that he can't say no, because then shit's gonna pop off. Mm-hmm. So he's just kind of like, he looks at her, and she's like, I'll be fine. But then he like, kind of gives some type of like, message to Lucien.
Eye twitching and shit. He's like, don't you touch her.
I got a mate. I'm married. No, to be honest though, think about that. Because to Tamlin, as he told Rhys and Feyre, I don't care if she's mated. Whereas look at Lucien. Lucien didn't even know he was mated when he had fucked around with Nath. And now he's like remorseful. Granted, it wasn't his fault. But he's remorseful about it. And he's like, I'm a mated man. Yeah. Like, you could tell the difference of who treasures the mating bond more than other characters.
Yeah, and it's not Tambourine. That's for goddamn sure.
Definitely. Oh, can we call him that? Tambourine.
I got a list of names. Yeah, Tambourine is a good one.
Tambourine.
Later that night, when they go out to the wall and they're camping, Feyre and Lucien...
Feyre.
Yes, Feyre and Lucien share a tent together. And...
But Lucien was definitely... Lucien was... He looked at her and he was like, Tamlin's not gonna like this.
She was like, I don't give a damn. He a big ass crybaby. And what? She She literally
She definitely did. She said, and I quote, he could also be a pain in my ass.
Right.
I was like, oh.
There was an interesting thing in here as well. Basically, Lucien was like, I tried to beg him for mercy. He didn't listen. He couldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. And then he says, on page 57, which I found really interesting, he says, we were backed into a corner with no options, none. It was either go to war with the Night Court and Hybern, or ally with Hybern, let them stir up some trouble, and then use that alliance to our own advantage further down the road. And I was like, one, Lucien, you always let some shit slip that you don't mean to. Two, what does that mean? Use it to your advantage down the road. Like, what are you planning? Or what was Tamlin planning?
Okay, so I think, to me, what that sounded like, they wanted to use... Okay, so like he said, they had two options.
Yeah.
Go to war with both the Night Court and Hybern, or ally with Hybern, go to war with the Night Court.
Ah, okay.
You've allied with an enemy. That's what it sounds like to me from what Lucien is saying. You've allied with an enemy to defeat one of your other enemies. Once you do that, I think Tamlin was planning to turn on Hybern to then try to defeat Hybern. Because if you think about it, if I'm allied with you, then you're telling me certain things that you wouldn't have normally said anything before. So he might have been able to figure out a way to like maybe kill Hybern or to defeat the forces, push them back, something. That's what it sounded like to me. Or here's another option. Use them later on down the line. Maybe he wanted to rule over more land.
That's what I was thinking. You know how Ambidextrant was ruling over all of Perithian. She tricked all of the lords into, you know, shit like that, and held her court under the mountain. I was like, okay, is that now going to become Tamlin's job? And then in the morning, the goddamn Wonder Twins, Princess Banana and what was his name? Prince Dragon.
Banana.
I'm not saying her. I don't know how to say her fucking name. Princess Banana.
Is it Brianna? Is it Brianna? Is that how you say it?
Girl.
It's just spelled different,
Banana.
maybe?
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Alright, so we're going to say banana. B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Princess Banana and Prince Dragon give Feyre like a dirty... Oh, no, it wasn't Prince Dragon as well. It was just Princess Banana. She gives her a dirty snide remark like, oh, yeah, I'd go for one of the people of the Autumn Court, too, because, you know, they're so spicy.
Oh, so apparently the men of the Autumn Court have, quote-unquote, fire in their blood, and they have spicy time like it, too.
First of all,
Ew. Just ew.
Secondly, you let your brother smash, so I don't need no advice from you, bro. I'm good.
Yo.
I'm good.
Oh my God.
I'm good. I'm so good.
Jamie
Please.
and Cersei
Please.
all the way. But yeah, so she says that, and then immediately Feyre, her mind looks over at Lucien, and Lucien's like, what? And she's like, I really hope that that's not Elise on Elaine.
Oh, God.
Like, oh my God.
He's like, you know what it will be. She's my mate.
I'm a mate.
Oh, God.
I'm a mated man. A mated man. That needs to be on a shirt.
You know what
A
we're
cap.
gonna... Bitch, we're
Mated
making
man.
shirts. We're making shirts, okay? We are making the goddamn shirts.
A mated man.
Also, at the end of the chapter, the Children of the Blessed, who I thought we were only gonna see one fucking time, appear again. They're back. That leads straight into chapter 7, where, of course, the goddamn Yin Yang twins are like, yes, cross over.
Evil as shit. They're like looking at them and they're like, bet. It's almost as if they were drooling, salivating. They were like, all right, so I'm going to take that one and I'm going to take that one and you want that one.
And we'll just
right,
split
and I'm
them.
like,
And I was like,
right. I was like, and that the faces that we just had are the faces that Feyre and Lucien had. They were like, what the fuck?
right. So Feyre had to work her magic to get in their minds, be like, get the fuck out of here and don't ever come back. And of course, the incest twins are mad at her for doing that. But I was just like, she saved their lives.
And Banana, whatever, she basically is like, she says something to Feyre, and then Feyre's like, if you pursue them, then you and I will have a problem. And I was like, oh, my girl is threatening people now? Oh, Feyre. Okay.
She's the fucking High Lady of the Night Court. Why not?
That's what I was about to say. I was
Why
like, High Lady
not?
of the Night Court got a spine.
time to
She's
clap
like,
back.
I was like, okay.
Right. I was like, I love that moment. Loved that moment. On page 62 as well, later in the night, her and Jurian are sitting across from each other at the bonfire. And he pretty much tells her, thank you for doing that. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a little humility
there is
here?
a soul. There's some soul in there.
Are you?
There's some humanity left.
Exactly.
What's going on?
I was like, wow, okay. Maybe later down the line he'll have a change of heart. I doubt it. But it's nice to see a different slither of a side of him.
Yeah.
So I thought,
the thing is, we also have to remember, Durin isn't high fae. Durin is human.
Right.
He was human when Amarantha took him, tortured him, and then placed his finger in his eye and stuff. So I'm sure seeing the children, he's like, oh shit, like my people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Granted, I'm sure I hope that awakened the humanity in him that has been dormant because of what Amarantha did.
I would hope so too, especially because at the end of the chapter, the next morning, Feyre and Lucien wake up to the mutilated bodies of those children of the blessed. So the twins went out there, rounded them up, and then brought them back across the wall and pretty much slaughtered them, did whatever they wanted to do, and then slaughtered them and left their mutilated bodies at camp for Feyre and Lucien to see, like as a message. And so at the end of the chapter, Jurian's really upset about that, but he's not like saying much. And Feyre is like, okay, Lucien, we need to send them a message back.
This right here, though, this made me sit and be like, okay, Lucien, I see you. Because you could have easily been like, no, Feyre, like, we really can't. Like, we really can't do it. And all it took for her was like, no, Lucien, we need to get them back. And you was like, bet, I don't like them either. Let's go. Like,
He's like, fuck them. So that leads into chapter 8, where Tamlin is pretty much trying... He's yelling at both of them like, are you fucking serious? They're supposed to be our allies. You two are behaving like children. And I was like, oh shit, what did they do? Turns out they led the bogey back to camp. And unleashed it on the goddamn incest twins.
And these bitches were bitching.
They were.
Bitching.
Oh my God. She said they were shook for hours afterwards. Like...
I was like, damn.
I was like, good. It serves you right. It serves you right. So now you're not just going to walk all over us. And after Lucien is dismissed from the room, Tamlin and Feyre are talking, and she's pretty much telling him, like, if we let them walk all over us, what else are they going to do? You know what I mean? Like, we have to show a unified front, but we also need to show that we have strength and stability or whatever. And that is the point where she starts really digging into Tamlin, like telling him about himself.
So Lucien, he's standing behind the door, because I realize this now. Lucien has realized Tamlin can't control certain things. Like, he can't control his powers, he can't control his anger, whatever. And I realized this. Lucien doesn't want what happened the first time around with Feyre to happen the second time around. So now he's actually keeping a close eye on Feyre and Tamlin. So, like, he can jump in. The
sentries are as well. They're kind of listening behind the door.
Yeah, so he can jump in whenever he feels like it's needed. And ultimately, that's what ends up happening in chapter 8. Like, Tamlin immediately fucking explodes. So he immediately explodes out of anger, lets his powers unleash. And Feyre this time plays it smart. She's like, I'm not going to put a force field up to save me. She actually lets his powers hit her, fly her back. And I think something hits her in the face and cuts her. And Lucien immediately runs in. And Tamlin's already, on his knees in front of her. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And Lucien's like, he shoves Tamlin out the way. And he's like, grabs Feyre. And he's like, let's go.
Bro, but not only did Lucien come in and was like, enough, but all of the sentries, everybody that was in the hallway saw exactly what happened and knew that he was the cause of it. So now it's on display for everybody, and nobody really like trusts him. Like, they're already starting not to trust him, but now they're definitely like, okay, I see why she was kidnapped, quote unquote, or so you say. No, she left because you're a dickhead. So basically, we got past that whole part with Tamlin. The next night, the Naga came and attacked. Previously, we learned that the keys to the manor went missing. And of course, Nath took this task to heart and was like, I am the savior of you all. I warned you that the Naga were here so that we could escape with our very lives. And
I can't stand this bitch.
yeah, Feyre's like, smells like bullshit, but all right.
Thanks.
The next day, Tamlin has the sentry like kind of like strung up by the hands and legs, and he's like, this is your fault. How did you allow this to happen? You dozed off. You put everybody's life in danger. And Feyre kind of slips into his mind and sees what actually happened and gets him to admit it. So he's like, no, my lord, it was her. It was a Nath. She's the one who took the keys and gave it to them. She's the one who tried to like knock me out unconscious. And Nath is like, oh, are you really going to believe him? This is so dumb. Just whip him already. Like, and Feyre is like, well, I want to hear his story. And Nath is like, you would believe his words over me, your high priestess? And literally all the guards in the room were like, this funky bitch. Like, they were not having it because it's like they didn't want to see their brother in arms, you know, stripped of his rank and honor.
No, yeah,
and they didn't want to see him hurt
yeah.
either. So Feyre, when she's like, I want to allow him a chance to speak, they're like, oh, thank God. Yeah, give him a chance to speak. But of course, Tamlin overrides her and sides with a Nath. And in that moment, all of his guards turned against him. And I was like, yes!
This was a very smart move on Feyre's part because what happened with that whole situation, nobody else wanted to listen. She came forth as the blessed one, as Feyre Cursebreaker, and she was like, but I want to listen. I want to hear. And it immediately made the Supreme Court sit there and be like, damn, our High Lord doesn't even side with us, but the woman who saved Perinthian sides with us.
The woman who was a mortal and then turned into Fae. The woman who hasn't even been here that long.
Sides with us.
And it was literally like, I was like, that's a powerful message because you were sending these people out to be killed, to complete the curse or the prophecy or whatever, so that you could break it.
They were willing to go because they believed in you. And they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to go for our High Lord. And here you are, siding with the Nath.
She's about damn bigger snake than Slytherin, bitch. How do you not see this?
Tamlin gives the sentries 21 lashes.
Yeah. Feyre does make a show of it too, to go to Lucien and kind of like turn into him so she doesn't have to watch.
Yes!
And I was like,
power move.
Yep, power move. And that leads into chapter 9. Feyre has the trust of Tammy's sentries because they realize that he isn't shit. Finally.
Yeah.
And then later that night, Alice tells Feyre she's going back to the summer court.
So what happened with the summer court where everybody got a ruby in the last one? So when Alice tells Feyre, I'm going to the summer court, Feyre tells Alice, listen, don't tell Tarquin that you know me well. But Alice does say, she's like, blood rubies or no, you will always have one friend in the summer court.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, Mama Alice.
I know. Oh, I hope that we get to see her again. I love her.
Me too. I really do. Because I really like her character. I feel like as a character who not tried to put fear in Feyre as a mortal, but like really didn't think Feyre was shit as a mortal, kind of, to turn around and be this invested in her and like be like, well, you always have a friend in me. And we know that Mama Alice was not giving out no compliments. She wasn't giving out anything. For her to sit there and be like, well, you will always have a friend in the summer court. Like, oh my God. Oh my God.
That's Woody. So the next day they set out for the third crack in the wall. And this time everybody goes.
Tamlin was like, I got to keep an eye on everybody.
Yes, Tammy was like, you're not going without me. And Nath was like, well, I want to go too.
Everybody wants to go to keep an eye on their prospective significant other.
Exactly. So they all go. And Feyre is like, oh, I want to share a tent with a Nath so we can make amends and all this other shit.
I would have killed her.
Bitch. And Nath woke up with a knife in her face. And Nath was like, Feyre. She's like, oh, you can never be too careful when you're sleeping in a tent with an enemy. And she's like, Hybern is not your enemy. And Feyre gave her the most wicked grin.
Yo.
I was like, oh, Nath, count your fucking days.
I would have slit her throat.
Oh my God. That was the best part of the first couple of chapters for me. Swear to God. So while everybody's away, the incest twins are inspecting the wall. Feyre's trying to get like more information out of them, like what exactly they're going to be doing. I do feel like she extracted this information a little bit too easily.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that plays into the plan that the incest twins were like working on her later. But they basically tell her about the allies that they have, where their allies are stationed, and how many that they have. So she shouts all of this like down the bond, or collects this information.
Down the bond. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's like, all right, I've done my dirty work. Time to bounce.
I'm going home. I'm going home to my baby Reese cup. I'm out.
She's winnowing every couple of miles because she can't do long distances. And then, of course, where does she end up? Not far away from a conversation that Lucien and Nath are having.
Is this really a conversation, though?
It's not.
My man's he's tied up to a tree.
Mm-hmm.
To a tree. This bitch has him tied up with those cuffs that they had put on Reese. She's talking to him, talking about, well, didn't you have fun at the right? We had an amazing time at the right. And he's like, no, I had to do my duty. That was an obligation. I did not enjoy that.
No. And now I have a mate, so you can go on and
he said, I'm a mated male now.
Right, I'm a mated
male now.
Miss me with that bullshit. And so Feyre is like really struggling because she's like, I only have a limited amount of time. I need to go. But I cannot leave him to this fate.
I think what it was because immediately Anath says, like, well, you don't act that way with Feyre. Like, which immediately tells Feyre, okay, so what I was doing actually worked. She really felt a certain type of way about it. And then she hears Lucien say, get off me, don't touch me.
Yes.
And, like, that is what tells her, like,
this is not okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not okay.
And she winnows over there and she's like, oh, what's up, bitch? And then Nate's like, oh, we were just having a conversation. She's like, no, you weren't. She slips into Nate's mind and she makes her unleash Lucien and then has this bitch slam a stone onto her hand until it's bloodied and broken and twisted in the wrong angles.
So can we talk about the fact that Reese also fucked up her hand the last time he saw her? This bitch got her hand fucked up twice.
Yeah, I know. She was
twice.
Like, you will never touch anybody without their consent again. You will never experience pleasure again. And she was like, you can see a healer, but you're not allowed to have the scars erased. Right.
Because I want you to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I want you to remember.
And
I was like, the time.
And then, of course, the fucking Wonder Twins pop up out of the bushes
Show
and
up.
they saw everything.
Can't win. You can't fucking win.
You really can't. You take 3 steps forward and goddamn 10 steps back, Sarah.
10 steps back. It's ridiculous.
It was so annoying.
What ends up happening is she gets into a fight. So they realize because they're looking at her. When she left, she took Tamlin's, they're his knives, his swords.
His Illyrian fighting, which we find out, those knives that he has strapped to his chest are Illyrian fighting knives that Reese told him about.
So, of course, Feyre was like, bitch, I'm taking this back to my
all
husband.
this shit back.
You don't deserve this.
Right.
You don't even use it. You always on your knees.
Thank you. One more time for the people in the back.
So ultimately, when she left, she took those with her. So then she ends up, when the Wonder Twins show up, her and I think Bandana, her and the Bandana one, they end up in a fight.
No, it's her and the prince that end up winnowing and fighting.
You're right. So she ends up in a winnowing fight with this dude. And Lucien is looking and he's like,
bitch, how you learn how to do that?
Feyre. Right, he's like, that ain't the Feyre that left.
Damn sure isn't. So
he ends up in a fight with the other twin.
Yeah, I think that's what happens. And then Feyre realizes like the twins are trying to slow them down so that Tamlin will catch up to them and Jurian will catch up to them. And so she's like, okay, the only way I'm going to win against the prince is if I torture something that he loves. So she sets Bandana on fire, bro.
It was the best thing. The best thing. Because this bitch didn't expect it. She didn't expect to be set on fire.
No, she did not. So basically, in short story, Lucien and Feyre end up killing both of the twins.
Thank God, because I was tired of them. Cersei and Jaime needed to go.
It's been 10 chapters, and I want them out. I want them out of here.
Now, can we do the same thing with the Nath? Because I really don't like that. That hand thing wasn't enough for me. I need somebody to actually physically kill her.
No, I even said, like, she got off way too easy.
She definitely did.
Another thing, a very, very important thing, the most important thing that we get out of chapter 10, is that they were slowly poisoning Feyre and Lucien.
Yo,
They were giving them what is it, phase bane, I think? Like blood bane or wolf
it's like
bane.
wolf's bane. It's almost like wolf's bane.
Yeah, it was like wolf bane,
supposed
but
to
for
weaken
fairies.
the high fae.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why Feyre was getting all of these headaches whenever she was trying to use her power. She's so tired. So now they're almost like powerless.
Yeah, so they end up being the twins, and then immediately Lucien is like, so you're going back to night court.
Duh.
I know you're going back to night court. And she was like, she's ready to head out. She's like, yes. And he's like, well, bitch, I'm coming with you. Right. Like you said, Morgan, white on rice, white on rice. He's like, I'm coming with you. Elaine is out there. I gotta go. So to get to where they have to get to, because they can't winnow there properly, they are like, we're gonna have to go through the autumn court.
They got to do it the old-fashioned way.
Which now we know, we're like, fuck. If Lucien ends up in the autumn court, Feyre end up in the autumn court, all hell gonna break loose.
But that's the thing.
All
it's like
fucking hell.
It was gonna happen either way because they could only go through the autumn court or the summer court. And Feyre's like, yeah, I'm kind of wanted in the summer court. We probably
the conversation,
bro. She's like, we probably should.
So I got a ruby. I got a ruby from the summer court.
I got a hit out on my name in the summer court. Let's not do that.
So the autumn court it is. Autumn court it is.
Right. And so they get into the autumn court, and I think they said they were traveling for like 3 days or whatever, until they find like that cave that Lucien used to camp in.
Yeah.
And they stay.
So that's where they end up at.
Yeah, and that leads in, of course, or this is chapter 11.
Yeah, I was gonna say because then we're at part 2, Cursebreaker. And
yes,
chapter 11.
So they're talking again, and Lucien tells Feyre he didn't admit anything to Tamper again because he wanted to protect him. Again, he's a grown-ass fucking man. I don't know why, but go off, sis. And Lucien is also, I believe, just going with her to get to Elaine. I don't trust him. And Feyre's just like, it's whatever at this point. Like, I don't really trust you. I'm going to be wary about it. But yeah, you can come with me because it's better that we be together than alone.
It also, like you said, he's like, my mate's in enemy hands. And, like, Feyre is like...
No, she's not.
She was like, I never made it seem as if she wasn't safe.
Exactly.
Tamlin is like, am I supposed to believe you? Not Tamlin, sorry. Lucien is like, am I supposed to believe you? And Feyre is like, yeah, believe me. That's all you can go off of right now.
Exactly.
Who else are you going to believe? Like, how else are you going to get to Elaine?
And she was also like, if I thought that they were in danger, no amount of sentries or magic or whatever could keep me in the spring court. I would have been gone left to them. So my logic makes sense. They end up traveling again through the autumn court, and apparently it's like really, really long. Like, it's a long stretch of land for them to get through the autumn court.
They do say that the autumn court is very vivid.
Yes. And I was
very,
like, I can already imagine it. Yeah. Which sucks that the autumn court is so horrible because fall is my favorite season.
Also, just to say, Lucien also makes a note of like, so they're trying to figure out the best way to get to the border, I think, or like how to go to that route. Yeah. And Lucien makes it a point. He's like, we can't go through like the lower phase lands. Like, he's like, we can't go through those things. And Feyre's like, why? And basically, her name was Jasminda was his first love, and the woman who died in front of him. And he was like, they've never been the same towards me since her death, because he was like, they trusted me with her, and basically she died. So he's like, so they hate me, my brothers hate me. This gonna be an adventure, girl. We gonna have to work through this together, because this is like, it's a lot.
That was actually really sad. But it's also like, it wasn't his fault.
But he says that the lower fae believed that it was because they trusted him with her, and they felt like he should have did more.
He should have did more to protect her.
Yeah, and he didn't. And so that's how they feel. And I was like, okay, Lucien, like, I see you. You're not making excuses. You're not blaming anybody else, even though you can in this situation. You're taking responsibility for not being able to do more, or not trying to do more in that situation.
Right.
So I don't know. For me, it kind of made me sit and be like, okay, Lucien, slowly but surely, I might be walking up that hill again, little by little.
So I feel like in regards to chapter 12 and 13, they also blended together. It was basically about like their survival going through the winter court, because when they fought off the brothers, they were able to like call a little bit of their magic, but not enough. So they had to call a little bit of magic to distract them and then run, and they left all of their supplies in the cave. everything.
Yeah.
So now they're traveling through the winter court with no food, because the food that they had originally too might have been poisoned, so they got rid of that. They have like no clothes, no boots, no nothing like that besides the shit on their back. So it's just basically like them traveling and shit like that, talking a little bit more. Lucien trying to like make his, I don't know, what do you call it? His redemption arc or some shit like that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And then in chapter 13, the brothers find them again. And now it's like an all-out brawl. Like, Feyre's like, I can feel a little bit of the winter court powers in me. I'm going to try to fight. And it's just, it's not enough. They're both still
pretty weak and stuff. Yeah.
But go ahead.
But immediately, Feyre sees a red siphon. Like, she sees red. And we all know whose color's red.
We all know.
Whose color's red.
We all know.
So she immediately sees that, and then she sees blue. And we all know who blue is. And then these colors land right at the winter court. And it's Cassian and Azriel. They've made it. They fucking made it. Yes, they were saved. They were healed. They made it.
They finally made it. Rhys was able to hear her call down the bond like a few minutes before, and they all took off.
They was like, bet my hot lady need me. I'm out.
Right.
I'm out.
Right. So they're out there. They're kicking ass. What is it? Cassian is about to completely gut Eris, who, if we remember, was supposed to
marry
Mor.
This was expected. I'm sorry. Cass was ready for this because Cass was like, this has been long overdue. Mm-hmm. Long overdue. So Cass was more than ready to kill Eris. And then Feyre was like, stop. They stopped what they were doing. They stopped fighting because Az was ready to. Az and Lucien were beating the fuck up out of the other brothers. And like, Feyre, she's like, let them be free, but I want to go home. Because what she wanted was she wanted to prevent the Night Court going to war with the Autumn Court because they killed the heir of the Autumn Court.
Exactly. And they still didn't know where the Autumn Court stood in regards to like what side they were going to fight on. So she's like, all right, I'm going to spare your lives, but just so that you know how badly you fucked up, she removed the glamour from her hands. She's like, I'm the High Lady of the fucking Night Court, bitch. Don't you
Eris
ever...
Eris was like, there are no High Ladies.
There are now.
And Feyre's like, thanks. Oh my God, that line. There is now. And I was like, ooh, dude.
Yes. And Lucien was like, dumbfounded. Lucien was like,
he was like,
oh my God.
Fuck.
I had no, I mean, I knew you came back and you was planning some shit, but I didn't know, my God.
So when they fly out, Cassian grabs her and he flies out, and Az grabs Lucien and he flies out, right? And while Az has Feyre in his arms in the air, like, you know, flying out. Oh, sorry, yeah, Cass. Cass is like, hello, Feyre. And like, he looks down and he's like, hello, Feyre. And she like just hugs him. And I was like, oh, the brother-sister relationship.
He's like, I missed you too. I missed you too.
Yes! Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So now we can go to Mor. Okay. Now we can go to Mor.
Yeah. They go and meet Mor on the border, I think, of the Winter Court and the Night Court. Or no. The Winter Court and whatever court that is. Yes. They meet on the border. And so, of course, Feyre and Mor have their whole big reunion. And Mor is like, let's go home. And Feyre is very careful. She's like, which home?
Yeah, she was smart because of Lucien. So she was extremely smart.
Exactly.
Mor basically like told her like, if you trust him, then we trust him. And they end up winnowing to their home, the townhouse. Yeah.
And that's where we end. Like Ashley said, the first 13 chapters, I did not feel like were slow at all.
No, it was definitely high speed.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
But I will say this though. I expected her to be at the spring court a little longer.
I did too. But I'm glad that she wasn't, because I was like, I really don't fucking want to read about Tambourine. I'm like,
But, okay, this is how I pictured these couple of chapters to go. I expected her to still be at the spring court, being a spy, and getting a little more information, breaking Tamlin a little more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but did you catch
that's what I was expecting.
It didn't take much.
No, it really didn't. No.
She was like, damn, this went quicker than I anticipated. I can still make it home for dinner.
She's like, baby, I'll be home in no time. Like, that's basically what she told me.
Ass. Like, she was like, damn, y'all was weak in the knees. Just wait for somebody to take you out.
Yo, no, seriously. But I expected Like I said, I expected her to break Tamlin a little more. I didn't realize it was gonna be that easy. Then I also expected her and Lucien to either have a severe falling out because of his side eyeing her and being like, oh, you laying that on a little too thick, like there's something wrong. Or I expected her to have more of a heart to heart with Lucien, especially because he's Elaine's mate. And I figured, okay, him being Elaine's mate, that means he's gonna be in Feyre's life forever, for a while.
I feel like the falling out is coming because of being mated with Elaine. I think it's definitely coming down the line.
I can see that.
Yeah. I don't know when, but I feel like that's gonna happen because at some point, I feel like he's gonna try to take Elaine and run.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I didn't think he would try to like
And
snatch
that's why it's
Elaine
like
and Winnow.
Yeah, this whole time they're trying to build his redemption arc, but I'm like that was a little too easy, and I still don't trust him. Yeah.
I feel like the fact that she and Lucien killed Hybern's niece and nephew.
Oh, bitch.
Lucien ain't gonna be able to go back to no spring court. He's stuck. He can't go back to the autumn court because his brothers want him dead. I feel like Lucien is stuck in the night court, honestly. I think he's gonna be stuck.
But that might be the best thing for him, honestly. And I wouldn't be mad at that. I just need to learn how to trust him more.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So we'll see if that actually happens.
I know. Yeah, we'll see if that actually goes down.
Yeah, we don't have to end up fucking hating him and coming up with a name for him.
I'm slowly making my way back up this hill.
Ashley died on the hill.
I died
and I rolled down it. Fury. Ashley rolled down that goddamn hill.
Now I'm slowly making my way back up to defend Lucien hard.
Trying to put the flag back on top of the hill. Bitch, shut up.
Trying to do it.
I hate you.
But, I mean, yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to read the next couple chapters because I want to see where it goes. I want to see Rhys and Feyre reunion. I want to read that. Yeah. I want to see, okay, now that we have the information that we got about what King Hybern and them are planning, what are our next moves? Because we can't do what we did last time where Cassian's brute force and ironclad will and run into this shit. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, we can't be doing that again.
Like, let's we can't learn do that from again. Our mistakes, please. Please. Yeah.
And also, will Nesta have her revenge on King Hybern due to her finger? Because I really want that.
You know she
I really want that.
Now, whether it's going to happen in this book or down the line, don't know. But she's definitely going to have her Nesta's revenge. That needs to be on a t-shirt too.
That too.
Nesta's like a rock band.
Yes. Nesta is in for way more than her two sisters. I guarantee.
Oh, absolutely.
But I really want to see if she does get to have her revenge with King Hybern, if she's able to even if she's able to cripple him in some way, that would even be acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, I just want Nesta to have that moment because she was so, her finger, her shit, like she was so the Hellcat. You know what I mean? Like the Hellcat. I just want her to have her moment.
So you guys were coming out with apparel. The mated male and the Hellcat and Nestor's Revenge.
Facts.
The Hellcat of Nestor's Revenge. So be on the lookout for that.
The tambourine's gonna be on a shirt or a cap at some point. Like.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, be on the lookout for that apparel. The next chapters that we're gonna read are chapters 14 through 25. And then we will be back again to dish and discuss and come up with lots of fun names for the people that we hate.
So with that, I'd like to say please follow us on all social medias.
Yes, please follow us on social media. Our tags for Instagram and TikTok are at YA@Heart Podcast. Don't bother with Twitter. We don't use it. Just don't.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But with that, I want to say follow us on all social medias. We had an amazing time this time. Hope you guys did too. And we love you guys. Always stay YA at heart. Bye.